My House of Horrors chapter 791 to 800. The meaning that Wang Xiaoming was trying to convey was very clear. The big dog that the girl mentioned earlier was not a dog but a missing person. This whole family was a bunch of crazies. I know what you're trying to say, but have you noticed something strange? Chen Ge's voice lowered. Why does she look at me differently from you? Those eyes that are filled with pure malice only reflect me. Does she know me from before? Now is not the time to think about that. Shaolin, we have to leave now. Wang Xiaoming grabbed Chen Ge and was about to leave when footsteps came from inside the bedroom. Soon, the bedroom door was pushed open again. The girl was wearing pink pajamas, and she was holding a long set of keys in her hand. Found it. Okay, we'll go to the maintenance room now. Of course, they had to leave, but before that, Chen Ge wanted to get as many useful things as he could. He reached out to grab the girl's keys, but the girl quickly took a step back. Even though the spare key is with me. My dad said not to let me get close to the room at the end of the corridor, and he forbade me from giving the key to strangers. After Chen Ge stated his goal, the girl slowly started to bare her fangs. She had been up to no good from the beginning, but other than herself, no one knew what her real goal was. This student and I both know Mr. Bai, so how can we be strangers? If it's not convenient for you to go, you can give me the key, and I'll go open the door. I'll return it to you after I'm done. Chen Ge advised patiently. His expression was calm, and it was very difficult to read his real thoughts from his facial expression. No, my dad said that I can't give the key to strangers. Only family members can use it. The girl's voice softened, and there was a trace of pity in her voice. Chen Ge frowned slightly. He felt like the girl was hinting that she wanted him to become family. After giving it some thought, Chen Ge squatted down again. He pinched the girl's cheeks. We're friends now, the best of friends. No matter what, we can rely on each other. We're like family. If you're bored, the two of us can come and keep you company. Chen Ge was a meticulous person. He knew that the obsession of some ghosts was like a curse. If he used his real name, he would be haunted by the ghost, so he decided to drag Wang Xiaoming down with him. You guys? The girl's eyes were focused on Chen Ge, and she had completely ignored Wang Xiaoming. That was one of the things that confused Chen Ge. The girl stood at the door. She was still hesitating, but at that moment, the sound of a heavy object hitting a wooden board came from inside the house. The bedroom door was not closed tightly. The dog in the room seemed to have heard the conversation between Chen Ge and the girl. It finally confirmed that the people who entered the room this time were not Bai Ling and Mr. Bai in disguise. Bang, 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 quote. All right, it's settled then. The smile on the girl's face was like a blooming flower. Wait a minute, that big dog is starting to cause trouble again. We can't let it disturb the others. The girl looked at Chen Ge meaningfully before turning to walk back into the room. The sound of the heavy object hitting the wooden board weakened. They waited for a few minutes before the girl walked out from the room. Her expression was normal, but she had changed into a new set of pajamas. I'll go with you. You open the door to look for the things, and I'll wait for you outside. There was an inexplicable excitement in the girl's voice. She jogged to the door of the living room. Chen Ge and Wang Xiaoming followed behind her. Shaolin. Wang Xiaoming pointed at the girl and then waved his hands like he was warning Chen Ge not to get too close to the girl. Chen Ge nodded lightly. He planned to grab the tools and try to escape. The girl grabbed the doorknob. She slowly pulled, and when she opened the door a sliver, the door was pulled outward from the outside. There's someone outside the door. Chen Ge broke out in cold sweat. Thankfully, with the training from the black phone, his reaction speed was much faster than a normal person's. Just as the door was about to slip from the girl's grasp, he grabbed it and slammed the door shut. Bang! The sound of the door closing echoed down the corridor. In this kind of extreme silence, the sudden sound was very scary. Shaolin, I'm your next door neighbor, Uncle Zhang. I heard some noise coming from your room, so I came to take a look. If you need help, open the door. A man's voice came from outside the door. Don't open the door. Would a normal person eavesdrop at the door for so long? Furthermore, when the door opened, he reached out to pull it open. It's obvious that he's trying to force his way in. This man is lying to you. Chen Ge lowered his voice and leaned in to whisper into the girl's ear. The girl, Bai Ling, did not expect someone to be hiding outside her door, but there was no fear in her eyes. There was only caution and dissatisfaction. Go hide in my dad's bedroom and lock the door. The big dog lived in her own bedroom, and her father's bedroom was at the end of the room. She jogged to open the bedroom door. Bai Ling urged Chen Ge to hurry in. The girl did not seem to care about Wang Xiaoming's life or death. She only wanted to hide Chen Ge. You should come in as well. Chen Ge was a very loyal person. He pulled Wang Xiaoming into the room. The bedroom door closed again. Wang Xiaoming leaned against the door with lingering fear. I really did not expect there to be someone hiding outside the door. Thankfully, we did not rush out earlier, or else we would have been caught. The person guarding the door is probably the teacher that we saw in the corridor. He was holding a flashlight, and he almost noticed us. Chen Ge replied casually. At that moment, his attention was completely focused on the bedroom that he was in. This was Mr. Bai's bedroom. There might be something that he wanted hidden inside. Earlier, Bai Ling ran over to open the door with the key. In other words, if there was no one standing outside the door, I would not have been able to enter this room under normal circumstances. Chen Ge did not show any fear of being in a desperate situation. If anything, he felt like he had found a blessing in disguise. He flipped through the bookshelf and pulled open the drawer. Soon, he found something. Student's file. Why would something like this be inside a teacher's bedroom drawer? Chen Ge flipped through the file as fast as he could, and he realized that it was just a normal student's file. The only special thing was that Mr. Bai was in charge of a class that only had 17 students, including himself, but there were 21 files with the student's picture attached to them. When Chen Ge woke up in the classroom, he had memorized the faces of all his classmates. This was an unintentional act, but it proved to be a great help to him. Comparing the file to the memory in his mind, the more Chen Ge looked at it, the more he felt like something was wrong. At the time, it was written very clearly on the list that Mr. Bai was holding. In my class, there were a total of 17 students and teachers. But when I counted myself, I realized there were 17 students in that class. In other words, there was an extra student in the class. The real number of students should be 16. Perhaps Mr. Bai was too careless or for some other reason, but he missed this detail. Quote. There were pictures attached to the students' files. Comparing them to his memory, Chen Ge soon found 5 files. Chen Ge had not seen any of these 5 people in the class before. There are 5 people missing from my class. Chen Ge was soon reminded of something else. There were 5 human-shaped shadows on the wall of room 413 that he was staying in. Is this a coincidence? Or did the 5 people who were missing all end up as shadows on the wall? Chen Ge flipped through the files again, and he noticed another problem. Why can't I find Xiao Lin's file? Flipping through the files twice, Chen Ge did not see Lin Sisi. Could it be that the extra person in the class was Lin Sisi? In other words, it was me. Quote. Chen Ge thought back to the content about Xiao Lin in Nightmare Academy's diary. Due to Xiao Lin's penchant for pranks, the whole class came together to play a prank on him. I think I get it now. Chen Ge did not finish the sentence. He had a feeling that Lin Sisi did not represent a person but some kind of identity. Everyone here was not his friend, but at the same time, everyone had some kind of unknown relationship with him. Without any help, without any clues, anyone I see is my enemy. In this kind of situation where I could die at any moment, I have to face the school's rules. This is what a 4-star difficulty is like. Chen Ge's hands that gripped the files tightened involuntarily. He glanced subconsciously at his own shadow, but there was nothing out of place there. The truth was often the cruelest and the heaviest. Chen Ge took a deep breath and said, it doesn't matter. At least they are not united. I still have a chance. Everyone in the school had their own thoughts. They all wanted to achieve their own goals, and this was an opportunity for Chen Ge. After memorizing the faces in the 5 files, Chen Ge stuffed the entire file into his backpack. He continued to search the bedroom, and Wang Xiaoming leaned against the door, eavesdropping on the sound outside with a nervous expression. Little Ling, open the door. Uncle is worried about you. He's afraid that some bad people have run into your house. The pet that my dad gave me escaped from the cage. I was trying to catch it in the house. Your dad gave you a pet? Yes, Uncle John. Please don't tell anyone else. I promise it won't affect anyone. Old Bai is also messing around. The school rules do not allow pets. I'll let it go this time. Get rid of that thing as soon as possible. Okay, Uncle John, please don't tell anyone. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone else about this. The voices in the living room disappeared. After a while, Bai Ling ran over to open the bedroom door. He's gone. Could he still be hiding at the door? Chen Ge leaned his left hand that was holding the backpack behind him. He was afraid that the girl would notice the bulging backpack. In that short amount of time, Chen Ge searched through the bedroom. Other than the student files, he found a teacher's ID, a meal card, and a library card. He did not care whether those things were useful or not. He shoved them all into his backpack. He should have really left. Mr. Zhang is a good person, but he's a little paranoid. Bai Ling led Chen Ge and Wang Xiaoming to the living room door. She had Chen Ge look through the peephole. After making sure there was no one outside, she opened the door. Come on, I'll wait for you outside the maintenance room. There were no lights in the corridor, and it felt like something could rush out at any moment. Chen Ge made a shushing gesture. He first turned off all the lights in Bai Ling's room. After his eyes got used to the darkness, he walked out from the room. Be careful. Chen Ge was someone who knew how to use his advantage. He had yin-yang vision, and in the dark, his sharp senses and extraordinary vision could be used to their fullest potential. The three walked to the deepest part of the corridor. Bai Ling took out the ring of keys from her pajamas and tried them one by one. In the quiet corridor, any sound would be amplified. Wang Xiaoming leaned against the wall and looked around nervously. Chen Ge kept his eyes on Bai Ling to prevent her from doing anything. On the fourth try, the spring in the lock moved, and the door to the maintenance room opened. Is it that yellow key? Chen Ge narrowed his eyes. He looked at the key, and it looked very familiar. Reaching into his backpack, Chen Ge found the ring of keys that he had found inside Xiao Lin's backpack. When he first obtained the ring of keys, Chen Ge had wondered why Xiao Lin had so many keys. This key is on Xiao Lin's ring of keys as well. Chen Ge had no idea where Xiao Lin had gotten these keys from, but this discovery was good news for him. In the future, when he encountered a door that he could not open, he could use the keys inside Xiao Lin's backpack to try them one by one. Perhaps he would be able to open them. Assuming that Xiao Lin is some kind of identity, does the existence of this key indirectly mean that Xiao Lin has been to the maintenance room before? Don't just stand there, hurry up and look for something. Someone will be coming soon. Wang Xiaoming surreptitiously pointed at Bai Ling like he was trying to say that Mr. Bai would be home soon. Chen Ge did not waste any more time. He entered the maintenance room, but the scene that greeted his eyes was one that he would not have expected before he entered. The room was indeed filled with tools, but they were not tools for repairing machines but tools related to the human body. For example, there were gingival separators, periosteal strippers, thread shears, ophthalmic scissors, needle holders, hemostatic forceps, and curved forceps that only dentists would use. Have I come to the wrong place? In the middle of the room was a table with a protrusion that was covered by a white cloth. The four corners of the room had mirrors that were covered by white cloth. The shelves around them were clean, and there were many strange tools placed on them. Chen Ge did not recognize many of them. This is a maintenance room. Yes, Wang Xiaoming and Bai Ling answered in unison. Their faces had paled even more after they entered the room. This maintenance room, I'm afraid it's not used to repair the furniture and electrical appliances. Chen Ge did not waste any more time. He moved quickly before the shelves. Some things could not be changed, so he had to make the best of the things that could be changed. It's fine. The tools used to pull teeth should be able to pull out nails. The maintenance room was not big, and there were no blood stains or stains. It appeared like the place was cleaned every day. Shoving all the tools that he could use into his backpack, Chen Ge soon walked to the first mirror. The mirrors were placed in the four corners of the room. Each mirror was covered by a white cloth, and only the bottom part of the mirror could be seen. Why are there mirrors inside the maintenance room? And why are there four of them at once?
Whether this maintenance room was used to repair living people or to repair furniture, there did not seem to be a need for mirrors.
Could it be that after they finish repairing something, they place it before the mirror to admire it? Before Bai Ling and Wang Xiaoming could say anything, Chen Ge reached out to pull back the white cloth that covered the mirror. Don't touch it, Bai Ling's warning was too late. The white cloth fell to the ground, and the three in the room saw the covered mirror. Is this paint? Chen Ge stood before the mirror and reached out to touch the surface. There was a layer of something that looked like red paint on the smooth surface. The mirror was completely covered, and the mirror could not reflect anyone. Chen Ge used his fingernails to scratch at the surface of the mirror. The red paint appeared to have grown on the mirror and melded with it. He could not remove it no matter how hard he tried.
Mirror. Chen Ge was suddenly reminded of something. After he woke up in the classroom, this was the first time he had seen a mirror in the world behind the door.
Mirrors were very common in real life, but in this school, they seemed to have become some kind of taboo. There are no mirrors in room 413, and there are no mirrors in the backpack that Xiao Lin carries with him. There are no mirrors in the hostel manager's room, and there are no mirrors in the staff dormitory that Bai Ling and Mr. Bai live in. Quickly pulling back the white cloth that covered the 4 mirrors, Chen Ge realized that the 4 mirrors looked different. They had probably been moved here from different places. The key to the maintenance room is with the teacher and the repairman. Normally, not many people come here. The school has placed the 4 mirrors here because they do not want too many people to see them. The surface of the 4 mirrors was covered with the red paint. Even if one stood before the mirror, one would not be able to see their own reflection. None of the mirrors can reflect people. Is it because they are afraid of looking at themselves in the mirror? Chen Ge could not figure out the reason, but he made a mental note to pay more attention if he saw a mirror next time. Perhaps there was a hope of escape hidden in it. Xiao Lin, have you found everything? It's time to go. Wang Xiaoming kept urging Chen Ge. As time passed, he became more and more impatient. Wait a moment. Chen Ge carefully examined the 4 mirrors in the corner of the maintenance room. The first mirror had no frame, and its edges were wrapped with transparent tape. It looked like it had been removed from a wardrobe. The second mirror was not big. Someone must have sawed off the top half of the dressing table. It did not look like a piece of furniture that would be found in school. The third mirror had the words, "Laboratory Building," written on it. It should be from there. The fourth mirror had a wooden frame with a number written on it, 413. Under the number, at the edge of the frame in the wall, there was a name, Lin Cece. Why is Xiao Lin's name on the last mirror? Did this mirror come from Xiao Lin's dormitory? Quote. Chen Ge did not think things were that simple. There was no such thing as Xiao Lin in the student's file, so why would the name Lin Cece be written on the mirror? Squatting down before the last mirror, Chen Ge looked at the covered surface. It was unclear whether his own shadow was accidentally reflected on the mirror, or it was due to the lighting and the angle, but Chen Ge had a feeling that there was a person inside the mirror. The mirror has Lin Cece's name on it. If there is really someone trapped inside, could that person be the previous Lin Cece? He reached out to touch the surface of the mirror. The chill felt like he was touching a blood door that was slowly opening. The mirror before him appeared to have turned into a giant snake with its mouth wide open. Chen Ge resisted the discomfort and grabbed the edge of the mirror. When his fingers touched the back of the mirror, he realized that the back of the mirror was uneven, like there was something carved on it. It feels like I'm being swallowed. Slowly turning the mirror around, when Chen Ge saw the back of the mirror, he sucked in a cold breath. On the back of the mirror, the name Lin Cece was carved in bright red ink. They filled the back of the mirror. The key was that these names were obviously written by different people, and the handwriting was different. Wang Xiaoming, move the other mirrors away and see if there is a person's name written on the back of each mirror. Chen Ge held the fourth mirror with both hands and signaled for Wang Xiaoming to move the other mirrors, but after a long time, Wang Xiaoming stood where he was, not moving at all. Chen Ge turned back to look and saw both Wang Xiaoming and Bai Ling staring at the mirrors inside the maintenance room. Their bodies leaned forward, using the tips of their toes to touch the ground. Green veins surfaced on their pale faces, and their eyes were filled with endless malice and resentment. What's wrong with you two? The surface of the mirror was smeared with red ink, and it did not reflect any human figures, but Wang Xiaoming and Bai Ling appeared to be able to see something inside the mirror. The mirror that they see is different from the one that I see? Or do they sense the presence of something? Bai Ling's father once warned her to stay away from the maintenance room. Could it be because of these few mirrors? Bai Ling and Wang Xiaoming were temporarily Chen Ge's teammates. He was afraid that the two would suddenly go crazy, so he quickly picked up the white cloth from the ground and used it to cover the mirrors. Unable to see the mirror, Wang Xiaoming and Bai Ling slowly calmed down. The veins on their faces disappeared, and the venom in their eyes disappeared. They did not seem to realize the abnormality that had happened to them earlier. It was as if everything was just Chen Ge's own illusion. The mirror appears to be able to reflect their real appearance. There were very few mirrors at the school, and these 4 mirrors were all smeared with red paint. Chen Ge was curious what kind of reaction Wang Xiaoming's group would have if they saw the unpainted mirrors. Since we've got the thing, it's time for us to go. Chen Ge reluctantly walked out from the maintenance room. If not for the fact that the mirrors were so big, he would have taken the 4 mirrors with him. What Chen Ge needed to do next was figure out a way to avoid the dormitory manager and return to room 413. He needed to pull out the nails on the wall and try to convince the few shadows. Shaolin. Wang Xiaoming had somehow snuck up behind Chen Ge. He pulled on Chen Ge's arm lightly. Based on our agreement, don't forget to accompany me to the canteen to buy food. Is the canteen still open so late at night? Chen Ge smiled, and his eyes moved between Bai Ling and Wang Xiaoming. Of course, you'll know once you come with me. One of the windows is secretly selling some very delicious food. Saliva leaked out from the corner of his lips, and Wang Xiaoming looked quite scary. You can't leave, didn't you promise to stay to accompany me? I only brought my own family with me. You have to come with me? Bai Ling hugged Chen Ge's left arm with both of her hands. She and Wang Xiaoming refused to back down. You're right, but what should I do now? Chen Ge pretended to be troubled. He looked at the two who were holding his arms. How about the two of you come up with a solution and decide where I should go? Welcome to Fanfic Audiobook, your go-to place for immersive audiobooks. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. He promised me first. Wang Xiaoming glared at Bai Ling, and his voice was rather loud. But you are now in the staff dormitory. Furthermore, without my help, you wouldn't have been able to enter the maintenance room. Bai Ling had a sweet smile on her face, and her hands hugged Chen Ge's arm tightly. Come to my place for a while. I have many things to tell you. Chen Ge was sandwiched between the two, and he knew this better than anyone else. The big dog at Bai Ling's home was the missing student. If he followed Bai Ling home, he might be locked up for her to play with. Wang Xiaoming was not that safe either. The man kept insisting on bringing Chen Ge to the cafeteria to eat, but he refused to tell Chen Ge what he wanted to eat. If he really followed Wang Xiaoming to the cafeteria, perhaps it would be Chen Ge who would be the one on the dining table. Everyone at this school harbored evil intentions, but they never showed it. Both options were fatal. The only difference was the method of death. Looking at the two beside him, Chen Ge did not push them away. With one hand holding Wang Xiaoming and the other gently touching Bai Ling's head, Chen Ge was touched. Both of you are my best friends. One is loyal and reliable, and the other is sweet and cute. It's hard for me to reject you. After a long struggle, Chen Ge squatted down and picked up Bai Ling. Big brother will go to the cafeteria with his friends to buy some food. I'll come back to see you later, okay? No, you can't go with him. The girl's sweet expression froze. A small lump appeared on her fair skin, and her body seemed to have grown taller. Fine. Chen Ge turned to Wang Xiaoming helplessly. Brother, how about you go to the cafeteria on your own? I'll accompany this girl. She's probably too afraid to stay in the house alone. You've lost your mind. If Mr. Bai comes back and sees you at his place, he will definitely lock you up. Wang Xiaoming was stronger than Bai Ling. He pulled Chen Ge to his side. Come with me, we're going to the cafeteria. Chen Ge was dragged to the door by Wang Xiaoming, but Bai Ling refused to let go. You promised me. The changes in her body became more and more obvious. Her eyes were sunken, and tears flowed out from the corners of her eyes. The tear stains were like knives that slowly cut open her face. The monster hidden under the skin of a cute girl seemed to be about to come out. "You're making things very difficult for me." Chen Ge shook off their hands. "You two can discuss it among yourselves. I'll wait for you outside. Come and find me when you've made a decision." After comforting Wang Xiaoming and Bai Ling, Chen Ge opened the door of the maintenance room and walked out. As soon as he closed the door, there was a loud thud, as if someone's head had hit the wall. "I really didn't expect that I would be so popular here. There are so many students in the school, why did they only have a special liking for me?" Chen Ge remembered the words of his two friends. After he left the maintenance room, he did not stop. He grabbed his backpack and rushed toward the exit. When Chen Ge ran out of the staff dormitory, a voice came from the dark corridor behind him. It sounded like someone was calling Xiao Lin's name. However, the biggest difference between Chen Ge and the main characters in horror movies was that he would never be curious about those meaningless things. It did not matter who was calling his name. The important thing was that he had already obtained what he wanted, and he could start the next step of his plan. "I need to move faster. If it's Bai Ling who comes out, then it's fine. She doesn't know my exact location, but if Wang Xiaoming comes out, then things will be difficult. This deskmate knows that I'm going back to the dormitory to fix the door, so he will definitely go to the dormitory to find me." Chen Ge did not turn back. He jogged back to the male dormitory. After the lights go out, there is no one to be seen at this school. Even if the school rules are strict, there should at least be security patrolling the school. Before and after the lights went out, the atmosphere at the school was completely different. Here, the lights might be the dividing line. Staying at one place for too long will cause bad things to happen, and staying in the dark for too long will attract bad things. There sure are many rules that can lead to death at this school. Actually, Chen Ge was not that worried about the rules, but the fact that there were so many rules and no one had told him about them was scary. Even after exploring for so long, Chen Ge still did not have 100% confidence that he had guessed all the rules. Jogging all the way, Chen Ge arrived outside the male dormitory. He did not run directly but hid behind a big tree next to the corridor and used yin-yang vision to observe the corridor. The door was not closed, and the dormitory manager that Wang Xiaoming feared seemed to have fallen asleep. "Something's not right. When I left with Wang Xiaoming, we closed the door. Now that it's left ajar, it means that someone has entered the dormitory while we were gone. The school does not allow students to leave the dormitory after the lights go out, so it should be either the manager or a teacher." Chen Ge ran to the other side of the road. He changed his position 3 times to look from different angles, and he finally found something. There was a pair of brown leather shoes at the corner of the first floor of the male dormitory. There appeared to be someone hiding there. If I remember correctly, Mr. Bai was wearing brown shoes. Could the person hiding in the stairwell be him? The more Chen Ge thought about it, the more likely it seemed. He had been staying in the staff dormitory, but he had not seen Mr. Bai. This is so lucky. He was waiting for me inside the dormitory, and I made use of this opportunity to take a look inside his room. This feeling of walking on the tip of a knife made Chen Ge's heart race. It's not a bad thing to have a teacher lying in ambush inside the dormitory. Wang Xiaoming knows that I'm returning to the dormitory. If he survives, he will definitely rush over here. If I'm not careful, I'll run into Mr. Bai. If he wanted to explore the school, he would run into many dangers, but Chen Ge's way of dealing with them was very good. While he kept attracting danger, he kept transferring the danger to other people. He kept himself in a dangerous but not fatal state. Temporarily, I can't return to the dormitory. I need to change my plan. Chen Ge decided to go to the art room now. He had found out from Xiao Lin's notebook that the first student who died in room 413 was an art student. It's not a problem to capture me as a substitute, but I need to clarify some things first. If we can't come to an agreement, I'll return these nails to them one by one. Hiding in the shadows, Chen Ge silently retreated. He did not have a map, and he needed to avoid the potential danger, so he moved very slowly. Not knowing the location of the school's various scenarios is too disadvantageous for me. I need a partner that I can cooperate with.
After walking for a long time, Chen Ge reached the door to the lab building.
There were not many buildings around the night school, so the art room was most likely to be inside this building.
The night school's lab building was not tall, it only had 4 floors. Instead of being used for the students' experiments, it was more like a facade.
The building was not far from the dormitory. If he made too much noise here, the male dormitory would be able to hear it clearly. Chen Ge silently snuck to the front door of the lab building and looked outside through the glass door.
The dark corridor, the closed doors, and from outside the building, there was nothing special about this lab building.
Everything is normal. Chen Ge had his own standard for a scary scenario. The lowest level scenario was only scary on its own. The higher level scenario was not scary on its own, but the story that happened and the people inside the scenario were scary. The highest level scenario was when both the people and the scenario were very dangerous. One careless mistake, and one would not even know how one died. Obviously, this school was the highest level scenario, so Chen Ge would not be fooled by its appearance.
The more normal the surface, the deeper the water inside. Stopping at the door, Chen Ge adjusted his breathing. After he calmed down, he tried to push the door open.
The glass door to the lab building was not locked. Chen Ge pushed it lightly, and the door opened silently. A cold air rushed out from inside the building. Chen Ge looked down the dark corridor, and the hair on the back of his neck slowly stood on end. Something doesn't feel quite right. Chen Ge had completed many trial missions, and a normal scenario would not have made him feel this way. Narrowing his eyes, he studied his surroundings. This is the same as real life. There is nothing out of place, but why do I feel so uneasy? The corridor was paved with smooth tiles, and the walls were painted white. There was not a speck of dust on them, and there were no students scribbling on them. The building was very clean, but for some reason, it made Chen Ge feel uncomfortable. What is the problem? An almost instinctive uneasiness circled around Chen Ge's heart. He carefully entered the lab building, and the moment he let go, the glass door closed on its own. Not good. Chen Ge did not stop and immediately turned to grab the door handle. He pulled hard, and the glass door opened again. He was not locked inside the building. It's a little different from what I thought. When the door closed, Chen Ge thought that his escape route would be blocked, but such a thing did not happen. He didn't cut off my escape route. Does that mean that he knows that even if he leaves me a way out, I won't be able to leave alive?
Chen Ge let go and let the glass door close. Everything in the building looked normal. If it was someone else, they might doubt their judgment, but not Chen Ge. I have to find that unsettling thing as soon as possible, whether it's a ghost or a human, or something else.
Carrying his bag, Chen Ge leaned against the wall and entered the corridor.
The laboratory building didn't take up much space, but there were many laboratories inside. There were all kinds of classes, and every classroom had a different name written on it.
All the labs for the night school should be here, and the art room is probably in this building as well. Walking alone inside the building in the middle of the night, with only his own footsteps echoing down the corridor, it was hard to describe. Every second was torture. Reaching out to push the classroom door, Chen Ge lost count of how many times he tried. Most of the doors were locked, but a small part of the classroom was not locked. However, the classroom door refused to budge like there was something blocking it from behind. Chen Ge did not find the art room on the first floor, so he walked deeper into the corridor. To his surprise, this building that was only 4 stories tall had an elevator installed inside it.
There are no stairs, only elevators. Quote, everything else in the building was normal, but the appearance of the elevator was strange. Chen Ge did not dare approach it recklessly. He stood 3 to 4 meters away from the elevator to observe it.
This looks like a cargo elevator. Does the building need to move things up and down? Why didn't they fix the stairs but install a cargo elevator instead? Slowly approaching the elevator, Chen Ge smelled a faded stench, and the smell was coming from inside the elevator. What does the school usually use this elevator to transport? Chen Ge stood at the door. He actually hated taking the elevator because the space inside was limited. Once the door closed, there was nowhere to run. There is no art room on the first floor, so the only way to get to the second floor is to take the elevator. Chen Ge had two choices. The first was to take the elevator to continue exploring the building and search for the shadow that had escaped from room 413. The second was to leave the night school and go to the western campus where the new students were. Chen Ge did not dare wander around the night school anymore. Mr. Bai was guarding the male dormitory. If he ran into either Wang Xiaoming or Bai Ling, he would be exposed, and then he would be in a very dangerous situation. The nails are poking me more and more frequently. I have to remove this curse as soon as possible. Chen Ge hid a nail in his palm and pressed the button on the elevator. The number on the elevator screen was originally 3, but after Chen Ge pressed the button, the number quickly changed to 2. This building has no stairs, so the only way to leave is to take the elevator. Before I pressed the button, the elevator stopped at the 3rd floor and not the 1st floor. This means that there is someone else in this building at this moment. He is on the 3rd floor. Chen Ge gripped the nail tightly. He looked at the changing number on the screen and silently retreated to hide in the middle of the corridor. He was worried that once the elevator door opened, something would rush out. Danger was everywhere at school, and Chen Ge believed that he could never be too careful. The number on the screen soon changed to 1. The elevator door opened, and the stench in the air thickened. Chen Ge stood several meters away and used his yin-yang vision to look into the elevator. The interior of the elevator was empty, there was nothing inside. The thing didn't come down, it's still on the 3rd floor. Chen Ge returned to the elevator and started to rummage through his backpack. He wanted to make a simple prop using dental floss and clamp. After he took the elevator to the 2nd floor, he would place this prop at the elevator door so that the door would not close. That way, the elevator would not run to another floor, and he would not have to worry about the thing coming down from the 3rd floor. As the boss of a haunted house, Chen Ge had personally made many props. He was very dexterous, and he only used several seconds to finish the basic design. This should do. Chen Ge entered the elevator and pressed the button on the control panel. The number 2 lit up. I'll go take a look on the 2nd floor first. The elevator was larger than a normal elevator, and Chen Ge felt uncomfortable standing inside it. What is this elevator used to transport normally? Why is there such a strong stench? Quote. After pressing the button, the silver elevator door slowly closed, and the stench inside the elevator thickened. The stench seems to be getting stronger. Chen Ge subconsciously pinched his nose. He frowned as he looked at the control panel. He wanted to get out of this elevator as soon as possible. However, the moment the elevator door closed, the button that represented the 3rd floor, the number 3, suddenly lit up on its own. Someone is going to the 3rd floor? After a short moment of surprise, Chen Ge's eyes widened. No matter what button was pressed outside the elevator, the number on the control panel would not light up unless someone had pressed the button inside the elevator. There's something else inside the elevator. The heavy stench rushed into his nostrils. Chen Ge did not turn around. He faced the elevator door and the interior of the elevator, unmoving. There's something else in the elevator other than me. It was the thing that pressed the number 3 on the control panel. A thick stench rushed out from behind him, and like an invisible hand, it gripped Chen Ge in its grasp. His breathing became difficult, and the sound of a small car sliding came from inside the elevator. The rough wheels rubbed against the metallic floor, and it felt like someone was pushing a small car back and forth inside the elevator. I've used yin-yang vision to look around. There are no ghosts or people inside this elevator, and there can't be a car. Have I run into something that even yin-yang vision cannot see? Yin-yang vision came from the black phone, and it had been strengthened several times. Zhang Ya had even blown a gust of yin energy into Chen Ge's eyes. This talent was already very powerful, and there was no chance that it would fail. Just what is behind me? To get to the bottom of this, the easiest way was to turn around to look, but Chen Ge knew that curiosity killed the cat. He gritted his teeth and did not move. The stench thickened. It was unclear where the stench came from, but it lingered around Chen Ge and tried to crawl into his body. The elevator was large, but as the elevator moved upward, Chen Ge felt like his surroundings became more and more crowded. Even breathing became more difficult. How come it feels like the elevator is filled with people? Chen Ge kept his head lowered as he glanced at the control panel out of the corner of his eyes. He did not dare move his eyes away, afraid that he might see something that he should not.
So slow. There was nowhere to run inside the enclosed elevator. All Chen Ge could do was wait.
Under Chen Ge's scrutiny, the number on the elevator screen finally changed. The red number, 1, turned into 2. It was just a few seconds, but it felt like a long night for Chen Ge.
The elevator door is about to open. His muscles tensed, and Chen Ge was worried that the elevator would not open on the second floor but directly go up to the third floor.
The elevator that was slowly moving up shook slightly. Then there was a soft chime from the monitor, and the elevator stopped.
The silver-gray elevator door slowly opened, and at the same time, a thick stench rushed toward Chen Ge, as if trying to push him into the depths of the elevator.
Without waiting for the elevator door to fully open, Chen Ge waved his hands and dashed out of the elevator.
He walked out for a few meters before slowing down. He stood in the corridor and looked back.
The silver-gray elevator door was slowly closing. There was nothing in the empty elevator car, and the pungent stench slowly disappeared as the elevator door closed.
Why is there nothing? Shifting his gaze, Chen Ge inadvertently swept his gaze across the floor of the elevator. He could vaguely see clumps of dirt on the floor that looked like human faces.
The elevator door closed completely, and the number on the display screen changed from 2 to 3. They seemed to have gone to the third floor. Chen Ge was still holding the small prop that he had made, and it was already soaked in sweat. Thankfully, I didn't leave this thing at the elevator door. If the elevator doesn't move up, the thing inside will definitely come after me.
Shoving the prop into his backpack, Chen Ge looked at the elevator with lingering fear. When I leave later, it's safer to jump out the window. The second floor is not that high. Before figuring out what the thing was, Chen Ge would not take the elevator again. Focus, I'll follow the plan. Narrowing his eyes, Chen Ge leaned against the wall to look for the art room. When he arrived at the second floor, the anxiety in Chen Ge's heart intensified. This building was different from any building that he had been to before. He could sense that there was something wrong with the building, but he could not pinpoint what it was. Only his own footsteps could be heard in the dark corridor. After walking for several meters, Chen Ge discovered a very strange room. A duty room. Why would there be a duty room inside the lab building? Why would someone need to stay here at night? Could it be that there is something valuable stored inside? Quote.
2 questions appeared in Chen Ge's mind. The first was why would there be a duty room in the lab building? And the second was why was the room built on the second floor and not the first floor? Did the person on duty only need to look after the second floor? There won't be someone inside this room now, will there? Chen Ge sneaked his way to the door of the room. He looked inside through the glass on the door. The interior was simple. There was only a bed, a wooden table, a chair, and a large armoire that could fit 2 adults. Turning the doorknob lightly, the door was not locked. Chen Ge pushed the door open and entered the room. There should be information about this building inside the duty room. If I can confirm that the art room is not inside this building, I'll jump out the window directly. Chen Ge did not close the door. He first walked to the armoire. The armoire was unusually large. Chen Ge was afraid that someone was hiding inside, so the first thing he checked was the armoire. Holding the nail in his palm, Chen Ge slowly opened the armoire door. There were several sets of blue work clothes inside. When Chen Ge opened the armoire door, he accidentally knocked them open because the clothes were swaying lightly. The clothes are fine, but how come the part with the school's name has been torn off? Chen Ge inspected all the clothes and realized that all the pictures and words that represented the school's name had been cut off. The school staff might be wearing this kind of clothes. Chen Ge grabbed a random set and shoved it inside his backpack. When I go to the western campus, I can pretend to be the school's mechanic. Pulling up the zipper of the backpack, Chen Ge did not close the armoire door and continued to search the room for valuable items. He opened the wooden table's drawer. It was filled with the records of purchases and deliveries. All the names and prices of the products were replaced with symbols. Chen Ge could not understand them. Should I take the account book with me? Chen Ge thought about it and gave up.
The account book would not be of much use to him, and it would only bring trouble to himself. There was nothing inside the room. Chen Ge closed the drawer and prepared to leave, but when he turned around, he noticed that the bed sheet on the wooden bed was wrinkled like someone had sat on it. When I first came in, were the sheets wrinkled? Staring at the wooden bed, Chen Ge became more confused. A normal bed should be placed against the wall, so why is this bed placed in the middle of the room? It is not even leaning against a wall. Quote. Standing beside the bed, Chen Ge could hear someone whispering. He looked at the drooping bed sheet, gripped the nail, and slowly bent down.
Reaching out to grab the edge of the bed sheet, Chen Ge half squatted down to look under the bed. The wooden bed was placed in the middle of the room, and there was nothing under the bed.
Sighing in relief, Chen Ge was about to stand up when his shoulder bumped into something.
He turned to look and realized with a start that there were 2 legs dangling from the headboard. Who is it? Chen Ge stood up immediately, but there was no one sitting on the bed. The 2 legs appeared to be visible only from underneath the bed. I can't stay here any longer. Chen Ge grabbed his backpack and left. When he closed the door, his eyes could clearly see a red shirt swaying lightly inside the armoire. How could there be a red shirt fluttering in the closet that is filled with blue work clothes? Unless it is not a shirt but a person wearing a red shirt. When he first entered the duty room, Chen Ge felt that the closet was not normal. The first thing he did was search the closet, but his yin-yang vision did not find anything out of place. Why can't my eyes see them? Chen Ge was reminded of the left eye that Chang Wenyu had brought out from the school of the afterlife. Perhaps that eye can see the real appearance of this school, but unfortunately, the left eye is inside Chang Gu's eye socket, and I have no idea where he is now. The door had been pushed open, and Chang Jiyu was probably inside the school, but the school that he saw was probably very different from what Chen Ge saw. If I can find Chang Jiyu, it will be much easier for the 2 of us to work together, and there will be more room for maneuvering. Chang Jiyu was Chen Ge's most suitable teammate at this school. Both of them came from outside the school, and their goal was the same. The problem was, he was not sure whether Chang Jiyu could survive in this place. For a normal person, this school was like the lowest level of hell. He has the left eye, and he can see things that I can't. As long as he's careful, there should be a chance of survival. It was very difficult to find Chang Jiyu in such a large school, and Chen Ge would not waste time looking for him. Actually, he knew very well that if he found Chang Jiyu and obtained Chang Gu's help, he would have to bear the risk that Chang Jiyu carried. When 2 people were together, they could make more choices, but the danger would also multiply. After leaving the duty room, Chen Ge picked up his speed. He realized that he had been too optimistic. This lab building was not only dangerous on the 3rd floor, the whole building was very scary, but the 3rd floor might be even scarier. I've underestimated the danger level of this place. What I'm seeing now is probably what the scenario wants me to see. Behind every blood door is a sea of blood, and this scenario is no exception. If the horror of this school was compared to an iceberg, then Chen Ge was only exploring the surface of the iceberg. As for how many things were hidden under the deep waters, Chen Ge had no idea. Walking quickly down the corridor, there were many laboratories that Chen Ge had never heard of on both sides. He did not stop to check them out. As long as the name of the laboratory did not have anything to do with art, he would immediately leave and continue forward. When he reached the other end of the corridor and was about to reach the end, Chen Ge suddenly saw a few words on the door of one of the rooms: paint storage room. A separate room to store paint? Paint could be used to paint, and it could also be used to smear the surface of a mirror. Therefore, when Chen Ge saw these words, he didn't enter it immediately. According to the notebook, the first victim in room 413 was an art student, so he might have entered this storage room before he died. Chen Ge gripped the doorknob. His arms slowly exerted force, but before he pushed the door open, a sharp pain came from his heart. Ding! Gritting his teeth, Chen Ge did not make a sound. He pulled back his shirt to take a look and realized there was a very deep hole in his chest. Has it started to prick my heart? I can't delay this curse any longer. If this happens to my heart when I'm running, it will definitely be fatal.
When he pulled back his shirt earlier, the nail had fallen to the ground, but there was no blood on it.
This is getting more and more painful. Chen Ge bent down to pick up the nail. Just as he was about to reach for it, his eyes scanned the corridor behind him. Not far away from him, there was a person following behind him with his head facing down. Standing up instantly, Chen Ge picked up the nail and swung it behind him. However, when he turned back to look, the corridor behind him was empty.
What is that thing? His body could feel something rapidly approaching him, but he could not see who it was. There were no stairs in the corridor, and before him was a dead end.
Chen Ge did not hesitate. He opened the door to the paint storage room and ran into it. Locking the door, Chen Ge pressed his back against the door. After a long time, there was no movement outside the door. Then his heart started to race. Why is it that when I go down to pick up the nail, I see a person following behind me with his head facing down? Did he jump off the building to his death, and he can only move with his head facing down? Or is it that the world that I see is reversed? Chen Ge wanted to lower his head to take another look, but he was afraid that if he did, he would realize that the room was filled with people, and then he would be in even more danger. Perhaps I'll feel better if I can't see anything. Chen Ge held the backpack in one hand and the nail in the other as he slowly walked around the room. All the shelves and cabinets inside the storage room were covered with white cloth, and there were several easels placed at the corner of the room. One of the easels had a piece of white paper fixed on it, and there were faint pencil marks on it. The paper is used specifically for oil painting, and the easel for oil painting is heavier than the easel for drawing. This should be an unfinished oil painting. The drawing on the paper was very crude, and the content was quite unbelievable. The main part was two reversed sick rooms, and there was a bed placed in the middle of the sick rooms, and there was a person lying on the bed. Inside the two reversed sick rooms, two patients who looked exactly the same were lying on two reversed beds, looking at each other. What is this painting trying to express? Chen Ge could not understand it. He moved away the easel and continued his search. In the end, he saw several balls of waste paper inside the trash can on the ground. He picked them up and unfolded them. Each painting was the same scene. Looking at the sick rooms in the paintings, the confusion in Chen Ge's heart deepened. Why are there sick rooms here? I've never seen a sick room like this at school, and I've never seen a patient before. With that in mind, Chen Ge remembered a detail. When he had just woken up and was about to return to the dormitory with Wang Xiaoming, the two of them had seen many pictures of doctors in the corridors of the education block. A normal school would hang pictures of famous people and scientists on the walls to motivate the students, but the walls of this school only had pictures of doctors, and those doctors were people that Chen Ge had never heard of before. The education block is filled with pictures of doctors, and these pictures have strangely appeared in these pictures. Chen Ge slowly raised his head, and a possibility flashed across his mind. I entered the door at the mental hospital. Could these things be some kind of hint? Chen Ge did not dare confirm his own speculation, and he did not dare to test it out. If there was any mistake, he would die. There are pictures of doctors and pictures of sick rooms at school, but why are the sick rooms in the paintings reversed? The same patient is lying on different beds, looking at himself. Chen Ge stared at the painting before him closely. He reached out to touch it, and to his surprise, he realized that the top half of the paper was rough, and the bottom half was smoother. It felt like someone had painted something on it. This simple-looking painting appeared to be hiding some kind of message. Compared to oil canvas, oil painting paper was cheaper and easier to handle. It was suitable for beginners' daily training. However, oil painting was quite unique. Art students usually needed to have a certain foundation in art before they could start to create oil paintings. By then, most of them would have lost interest in oil painting paper. So when Chen Ge saw the oil painting paper on the easel, he was confused. What kind of person created this painting? Chen Ge's university major was toy design and manufacturing. He had taken some elective courses related to art and art appreciation. He could see something from the simple composition of the painting. The painter was definitely not a beginner. It seems like he's constantly trying to express something. Chen Ge's fingers slid across the surface of the paper. The top half of the paper was rough while the bottom half was smooth. The texture was completely different. Why did he insist on painting oil? Is it because oil paintings can better express his meaning? Two reversed sick rooms and two patients who looked exactly the same. There was no problem with the composition of the painting, but when one touched it with their hands, one would notice that the material on the top and bottom parts of the painting were different. This is an oil painting. Do I need to smear the paint on it to see the difference? With the mentality of giving it a try, Chen Ge pulled back the white cloth on the shelf and prepared to choose the paint. The shelf was large, and the paint there was different from the one sold in the shops. They were all placed inside glass cups, and there was no label or description. Why, is it only red? Looking at the rows of glass cups, Chen Ge was stunned. There were many kinds of red on the shelf, but other than red, there was no other color. He reached out to twist open the lid, and a faded smell of blood drifted out. Chen Ge was certain that this was not the smell of oil painting. I'll use this. Chen Ge picked up the brush from the easel and smeared the red liquid inside the cup onto the painting paper. With the first stroke, Chen Ge noticed the problem. There seemed to be an invisible dividing line in the middle of the paper. The paint in the cup only left a light red mark on the top half of the paper, but it left behind a dark red handwriting that looked like a scar on the bottom half. After a few strokes, the painting on the easel changed. The upper half looked like a wart with a light red light on, but the lower half looked like it was soaked in blood. The patients in the painting clearly had the same expression, but the feeling they gave off was like heaven and earth. One of them looked ordinary and had a blank expression on his face. The other was covered in blood, and his face was filled with hatred and resentment. Is this painting reflecting the world behind the goal? Or is there a deeper meaning? Quote. After a few seconds, Chen Ge saw an even more magical scene. The paper was made of a special material. The color on the top half was slowly fading, while the color on the bottom half was continuously darkening. It was as if the top half of the painting had poured all the blood into the bottom half. Isn't the world inside and outside the door exactly like this? The despair from the real world kept surging into the world behind the door. One was purifying itself, and the other was becoming more desperate. The more Chen Ge looked at it, the more he felt that the painting had something to do with the door. He tried to remove the painting, but he was only halfway through when he suddenly heard a knock on the door. Is that thing coming? His hair stood on end. Chen Ge gave up on the painting. He picked up the paper from the ground and jogged to the window. Before Chen Ge entered the building, he had looked around from the outside. The windows of the building did not have anti-theft netting. Pulling back the thick gray curtain, Chen Ge pushed the window open. He was about to climb out when he saw someone standing at the bottom of the building. The man had his head lowered, and he was wearing leather shoes. He was tall and thin, and his condition was very abnormal. Mr. Bai. For some reason, Mr. Bai, who was supposed to be guarding the male dormitory, had appeared around the lab building. He appeared to be looking for something. Chen Ge's body that was about to roll out of the window retreated. He pulled the curtain closed with lingering fear. I was almost discovered. Looking through the gap in the curtain, Chen Ge saw Mr. Bai wandering around the lab building. He seemed to be hesitating whether to enter the building or not. If I jump down from here, I'll land right on his face. What should I do? Bang! 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 The knocking on the door became urgent. Chen Ge was stuck between a rock and a hard place. His brain was working fast, but the thing outside the door did not plan to give him too much time. The sound of the key entering the keyhole was like a knife stabbing into Chen Ge's chest. He did not have time to hesitate. The door would be opened in the next moment. Whatever, I'll leave this place first. Carrying the backpack, Chen Ge stepped on the edge of the window. Since he could not jump down, he would crawl to the side. He found the right opportunity and moved to the window ledge of the room next door. If I hang it outside, sooner or later, Mr. Bai will notice me. This is too obvious. His hands gripped the air conditioner. Before Chen Ge could catch his breath, the door to the paint storage room was pushed open. The person inside the room seemed to notice that the window was open and was walking toward it. The footsteps came closer and closer. If the person poked his head out to look, Chen Ge would be discovered. Go to the third floor. Gritting his teeth, Chen Ge grabbed the third-floor window ledge with both of his hands. Without any protective gear, he climbed up to the third-floor window. Just as he climbed up to the windowsill on the third floor, a pale arm stretched out from the window of the paint storage room on the second floor. Chen Ge stepped on the third-floor window ledge that was as wide as a palm. He did not even dare breathe too loudly. Maintaining this position exhausted a lot of his energy. If he lost his grip, he would fall. Chen Ge tried to push open the third-floor window. After he realized it was not locked, he jumped through it without hesitation. Before he could check what was inside the room, he hid next to the window and watched Mr. Bai in the dark. Why hasn't he left yet? The third floor was the most dangerous floor. The elevator had stopped at the third floor, and when he took the elevator earlier, the things inside the elevator had gone to the third floor as well. Frozen in the corner, Chen Ge did not move. He decided to wait in this room until Mr. Bai left before making his next move. The night breeze blew into the room, and the bright red curtains drifted past his neck. Chen Ge was about to close the window when he suddenly remembered that the curtains on the second floor were gray and black. His body froze for a second. Chen Ge took several steps back. After he moved away from the window, he immediately opened the door and rushed out. There was no light in the dark corridor. All the doors to the labs on the third floor were open, and some of them were creaking noisily. Closing the door behind him, Chen Ge walked into the room on the other side of the corridor. He thought that if he walked out from the window, he would be on the other side of the building, and he would be able to avoid Mr. Bai. The third floor was the most dangerous floor. All the things in the elevator seemed to have ended up on this floor. Looking at the seemingly empty corridor, if one looked from a different angle, one would be able to see a crowd of people. The curtains of this building are gray and black. The red thing that floated to my neck earlier was definitely not a curtain. It was probably the monster from the second floor. A red specter was on a completely different level from a normal specter, so when Chen Ge saw a red specter, he did not think much and turned to run. Without the help of his employees, Chen Ge could not fight back against a red specter. He knew very well that the few nails that he had were not enough to threaten a red specter. There is nothing strange on the first floor, and there is a red specter hiding on the second floor. What will be on the third floor? The lab building was just one of the many buildings in the school, but this normal 4-story building was enough to make Chen Ge feel like he was going to die. At least on the surface, the school looks normal. It hasn't been long since the lights went out, so it is not the scariest moment yet. Chen Ge was more and more certain that this was the school of the afterlife. This school was scarier than all the schools that he had been to. No matter what, I need to shake off that red specter first. Chen Ge walked toward the room on the other side of the corridor. He had just taken one step when his shoulder seemed to bump into something. Did I run into someone? Narrowing his eyes, Chen Ge used yin-yang vision. In his eyes, the corridor was dark, and there was no one there. That was definitely not an illusion. I definitely bumped into something on my shoulder. He tried to take another step forward. This time, not only his shoulder, even his arms and legs touched something. This corridor can't really be full of people, right? Actually, it did not matter to Chen Ge whether there were people or not. He forced himself to squeeze through the middle of the corridor. When he was about to reach the opposite room, the door before him was suddenly closed from the inside. Without any warning, the door that was originally half open was closed just like that. His heart chilled. Chen Ge reacted very quickly. He raced toward the next room, but before he could get there, the door of the next room was also closed. The thing inside the house doesn't want me in? At the same time, as if receiving a signal, all the doors in the corridor that were originally open were closed from the inside. A faint stench drifted into Chen Ge's nostrils. He had smelled something like this in the elevator before. This smell again. Chen Ge leaned against the wall. The stench crowded around him as if he was surrounded by corpses. Bang! 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 The sound of knocking came from behind Chen Ge. He turned around and saw that the sound came from the room he had just escaped from. It's a red specter knocking on the door. We can't stay here for long. The doorknob shook slightly. The person inside seemed to be twisting. The red specter might appear before him at any moment. Why does this guy keep chasing me? Is it because I took its clothes?
Chen Ge reached into his backpack and took out the uniform that he had found in the wardrobe.
Strangely enough, when Chen Ge took out this set of clothes, the stench that gathered around him seemed to lessen. Why would something like this happen? Chen Ge tried to put the uniform on, and the stench around him lightened. I can't see the monsters inside this building, but they carry a smell similar to the stench of dead bodies. The thinning of the smell means that those things have lost interest in me and left me.
Chen Ge initially wanted to return the shirt to the Red Spectre in the duty room, but now he changed his mind. Putting down the backpack, Chen Ge put on the uniform. He tried to open the door before him again, but something seemed to be blocking the door. Even when he tried to twist the handle, he could not open the door. After trying a few rooms, Chen Ge finally gave up. He grabbed the backpack and rushed toward the elevator.
The monsters on the third floor are temporarily not hostile toward me. The Red Spectre on the second floor is still in the room on the third floor, so the elevator should be safe for now. Chen Ge ran faster and faster. He knew that the elevator was dangerous, but he had no other choice.
He had no employees, no black phone, and he could not contact the police for help. He could only rely on himself.
In an environment filled with despair, he had to make a choice in the shortest amount of time. One wrong step, and death would become an extravagant hope. The negative emotions kept corroding his brain, and the curse brought physical pain, but even in those circumstances, Chen Ge continued to move toward his goal. No wonder the pen spirit said that she would rather commit suicide than enter this place. Rushing to the elevator, the number on the screen was 3. A smile appeared on Chen Ge's face. He pressed the button, and the doors opened. Chen Ge flashed into it and started to press the buttons on the control panel madly. The Red Spectre inside the room did not come out. It appeared to be under some kind of restriction that prevented it from destroying anything inside the school.
The silver elevator door slowly closed, and the elevator started to move.
I'll have to be careful of Mr. Bai when I reach the first floor. This scenario is too difficult. Even the hellish horror games on the market won't have players being chased by so many ghosts and monsters at the same time. Chen Ge was trying to figure out how to avoid Mr. Bai when he felt like something was wrong. How come this elevator is going up?
He turned to look at the monitor. In just 3 seconds, the number on the monitor had changed from 3 to 4. Fourth floor. But I pressed the button for the first floor. Is there someone using the elevator on the 4th floor? Quote. Without much time to think, the elevator door slowly opened on the 4th floor. Wearing the uniform, Chen Ge gripped the nail tightly and stood in the corner, ready to pounce at any moment. The elevator door opened completely, and outside was a dark corridor. Other than that, there was nothing else.
No one's here? A faded stench rushed in from the door. Then, a stench that was even thicker than the one on the 3rd floor drifted into the elevator. All the numbers on the control panel lit up on their own. The stench inside the elevator was unbearable, but the elevator door did not close. Several seconds later, the control panel made a beeping sound, and the word, overloaded, appeared at the bottom of the monitor.
The elevator that I'm taking alone is overloaded.
The beeping of the alarm was especially piercing inside the lab building. Chen Ge could not imagine the situation inside the elevator. He hesitated for a moment before walking out of the elevator with his head lowered.
After he left the elevator, the door closed, and the stench disappeared. Standing alone in the corridor on the 4th floor, Chen Ge had a complicated expression on his face.
The 1st floor is Mr. Bai, the 2nd floor is a Red Spectre, and the 3rd floor is a group of invisible monsters. What will be on the 4th floor? Chen Ge stood alone in the corridor. He did not even dare breathe too loudly. His pupils narrowed, and his muscles tensed.
Since I'm already here, I might as well take a look. Moving his feet, Chen Ge's figure was slowly swallowed up by the darkness.
In the dark corridor, the only source of light came from the elevator monitor. The red number was like a smiling face that had been cut open by a knife. It could not be healed, and it could only smile with pain. Creak. After walking a few steps, Chen Ge discovered another room related to art, the model storage room. The door was not closed tightly, and there was a small gap. It felt like someone was leaning against the door to peek at him.
Chen Ge slowly pushed open the wooden door, and the scene inside the room was rather strange. There was no experiment equipment, only pieces of white cloth that stood up. It gave the impression that people were standing inside the room with the white cloth over their heads.
This is... Chen Ge approached without hesitation. He reached out to remove the white cloth that was closest to him. He wanted to know what was underneath the white cloth, but he was afraid that the thing underneath the white cloth would be very dangerous. Therefore, he had no choice but to take the risk. He wanted to make the first move before the other party could react. The white cloth slid down, and underneath it was a human sculpture that had been skinned. This does not appear to be made from plaster or artificial glue. Chen Ge frowned slightly. Under the white cloth was a human sculpture that had no skin. The muscles were in a state of exertion, and the blood vessels weaved through the flesh. It was very realistic, and every detail was reproduced. Don't tell me the art students at this school use this thing to practice drawing. He looked at the human sculpture, and the sculpture looked back at him. The pair of eyes that were sunk into the blood vessels and bones stared at Chen Ge. The paint storage room has rows of paint with the smell of blood, and the model storage room has a bunch of skinned models. I don't even dare to imagine what will be inside the art activity room at the end. After covering the area with the white cloth again, Chen Ge learned his lesson from last time. He did not stay in the same place for too long and left immediately. When he turned around to close the door, his eyes scanned the interior of the model storage room. A piece of white cloth had fallen to the ground, and the item inside was nowhere to be found. After leaving the model storage room, Chen Ge found the drawing paper storage room on the other side of the corridor. It was filled with half-processed or already completed, oil painting paper. Touching it with his hand, the surface of the processed, oil painting paper was smooth. He didn't know what was smeared on it. What alarmed Chen Ge was the unprocessed and half-processed, oil painting paper. These papers felt very similar to human skin. Without staying for long, Chen Ge wiped his hands on his uniform and left the room. What exactly is this laboratory building used for? Chen Ge continued to walk forward and finally found the art room at the end of the corridor. Just as I guessed. After successfully finding the art activity room, Chen Ge had already achieved half of his goal of entering the laboratory building. He hurried forward and pushed the door open. The wooden door opened, and there were 13 easels in the room. The walls were covered with different kinds of paintings. At first glance, it looked like a normal art room, but upon closer inspection, one would realize that there were many scary details hidden inside the room. There were all kinds of strange paintings on the wall. There were human faces, twisted souls, human figures, and mutated bodies. The contents of the paintings were all different, but all the people or ghosts in the paintings were, without exception, upside down. The background of the paintings was upright, but the people in the paintings were inverted. They appeared to be living in another world, and the paintings were merely their shadows. The paintings that filled the walls gave Chen Ge an indescribable shock. Walking among them, his eyes were drawn, and he felt like he was walking through a nightmare. He came to the center of the art room. The 13 easels held 13 unfinished paintings, and 3 of them attracted Chen Ge's attention. One of them was a painting of 2 inverted doors, one blood red, and the other normal. Both doors were open, and inside the door stood an artist holding a pen. He lowered his head to look at his inverted self like he was thinking about something. The name of the painting was called, Me on the Other Side of the Door. Underneath the title was a line of messy, bloody words. Enough despair will open the door. If the despair is cleared away, will the door return to normal? This painting was the only one that Chen Ge had found that had the name of the painting on it. Obviously, the artist knew about the existence of the door. The second painting that attracted Chen Ge's attention was quite scary. It was the painting of this art room. In the upper half of the painting, the 13 painters were sitting on the chairs drawing, and the lower half of the painting was a sea of blood. The 13 painters had died in different ways, and they had died on their chairs. The most suffocating thing was, in the upper half of the painting, the painters had painted their own horrible deaths. These painters seem to know what will happen to them, but they continue to paint.
Is it because the result has already been decided and cannot be changed? The third painting that attracted Chen Ge's attention was the least finished. The upper half was a child standing facing a mirror. The world around him was normal, but the surface of the mirror was blood red. The child in the mirror was covered in blood, and he was slapping the surface of the mirror heavily. The lower half was still the child. The world around him was red, and only the mirror before him was clean and bright. He was slapping the surface of the mirror, trying to strangle the uninjured self in the mirror. I've seen a blood-red mirror in the maintenance room before. The mirror at the school of the afterlife has the same function as the door. No, I seem to have missed something important.
Chen Ge knew that a 4-star scenario was different from the previous 3-star scenarios. Many of his previous experiences were no longer applicable.
The door and the mirror, the blood door and the blood-red mirror behind the door. The clues in his mind slowly connected, and a bold speculation appeared in Chen Ge's heart. Maybe I should keep this painting. There was another reason why Chen Ge paid so much attention to the third painting. At the bottom of the painting, there was the name of the painter, Lin Cixi. This painting was probably painted by the real Lin Cixi, and solving the mystery surrounding Lin Cixi would be very helpful to Chen Ge's understanding of the world behind the door. In fact, one could say that this was the main mission that he had given himself. His hand reached toward the easel. Before Chen Ge touched the painting, a huge change happened in the art room.
Water droplets fell from the top of his head. Chen Ge reached out to touch them, and he realized that it was not water but blood. The air turned damp, and a heavy stench appeared. Blood seeped out from the wall, and bloody footprints that deepened appeared on the ground. The normal world appeared to be overlapping with another blood-red world. All the paintings in the art room became twisted. A black shadow suddenly jumped out from one of the paintings and charged at the door. The figure looked familiar to Chen Ge. He immediately stopped what he was doing, grabbed the nails, and rammed at the door at full speed. For more thrilling fanfiction stories like this, check out my channel Fanfic Audiobook. Dive into epic adventures, mysterious realms, and legendary journeys brought to life through immersive storytelling. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing audiobooks.